Representative Johnson, thank you so much for your time. Why are you running for mayor? Why do you want to be mayor, and what was the deciding factor for you to run?
Well, I'm from Dallas. I'm a Dallas native, and I love my city. And I want to make sure it has the best leadership possible. And public service is something I've decided actually quite some time ago that I want to commit my life to. It's what I do. It's something I went to school for. Something a long time ago I decided this is what I'm here on earth to do, is to serve people. So I ran for the legislature 10 years ago. I've been in Austin working very hard on Dallas's behalf to try to increase funding for pre-K and try to do things to improve the trust that we have in our law enforcement so that our city would be safer, try to help improve our supply of affordable housing. I've been working on a lot of issues that frankly are truly local issues, but I've been working on them from Austin, which is attacking the problem sort of, obliquely. But at some point, if you really care about those issues, which I do, you can't attack them obliquely. You have to attack them head on. And the mayor's job is the job for that. That is the role. And if I want to have an impact on the city I love, and I wanted to make a difference for the people I care most about, which are the people that I grew up around in this city, that I've been representing for the past 10 years, I have to run for mayor. And that's how I made the decision. I said, this isn't about me, it's about the city. It's about what the city needs. And the city needs strong leadership that's principled. Ethics are obviously an issue in our city right now. We need an ethical leader. We need an intelligent leader. We need a leader who has good judgment. We need a leader who's got actual proven leadership skills and abilities to get people to unite around an idea, to be able to work together, bring people together to get things done. And when I looked around, I said, you know what? This is a situation where the cavalry's not coming. I can't just rely on someone else to come and take care of this problem. If I'm going to actually see this city move forward in the direction that I think all of us want to see it move in, I may have to lean in and do this myself. And after assessing the field and thinking about it, talking to my wife about it, talking to people I respect in this city, civic leaders, activists from our communities, neighborhood leaders, just the whole gamut of people. I mean, from neighborhood association, crime watch types, all the way up to Fortune 500 CEOs, all said, our city is at an inflection point, and where we go from here is going to be a product of leadership. And I decided, you know what, I can't just complain about this. I've got to jump in and take this matter on myself. So I became a candidate.
So why should voters trust you over the 8 others on the ballot?
Well, I think it's experience. I think that's the differentiating factor. And it's experience across a few different spectrums. I mean, the first thing I would point out to a voter trying to make up their mind about this is, I'm from here. Dallas is my home. Dallas is where my family's been since the 1940s, when my grandparents moved to Dallas from East Texas after World War II ended. My grandfather was honorably discharged from the Army, and he moved our family here, and that's where we've been since the 1940s. And my parents were born and raised here, both, my mother and father. And I was born and raised here. So I have life experience that other candidates in this race don't have. Being a child in Dallas, being a person who has gone through every phase of life, from childhood to adolescence to young professional to now a father of 2 children and a husband. I've lived the life cycle of a 43-year-old person in this city, so I have that experience. I also have the experience of having been the city's finance attorney for the past 15 years, working on finance matters on behalf of the city of Dallas, and a master's degree in public affairs. So I've got actual training and experience in making policy, in doing the types of things that a mayor would need to know how to do and could work with a city manager effectively around. But then I think probably the most salient experience is the thing that most people probably associate with my campaign, which is I've actually been doing the job of making public policy as a state legislator for the past 10 years, representing the city of Dallas. So I think the big differentiating factor for me from the other 8 candidates is I've got the life experience of having lived here my entire life. I've got the education and training at the graduate level and as an attorney who specializes in public finance. And I've got the experience of having been a state representative representing this city in Austin for the past 10 years.
So what is the essence of your campaign?
The essence of my campaign is really, it's twofold. There's the issues, and I think most of us know that we need to deal with public safety and make sure the city's safe. That's like your primary responsibility to your citizens as the mayor of any cities, to make sure the city's safe. We understand that. We also know that we have an ethics issue in the city. City Hall has some issues that need to be cleaned up. I will get in there and I will definitely lean in on that issue and clean up our city by actually reforming our city's ethics code so that it actually has some teeth to it. But also, we've got some corruption that just needs to be rooted out. There's no way around it. We've actually got to deal head on with these issues of people taking bribes, particularly with respect to this affordable housing program, which I actually have legislation pending right now to address. We also know that we have an issue in our city with infrastructure and roads being under construction constantly and projects taking too long to finish. We're going to deal with that issue. We're going to start letting contracts in a more intelligent way. We need to deal with transportation and mobility issues. We need DART to be functioning more like a mass transit authority for a major city, which needs to be focused more on how people who are reliant on bus transportation as their primary means of transportation can move around our city so they can get to work and to school. And we need to address affordable housing and make sure our city isn't pricing out hardworking people who can't afford to live here anymore because affordable housing stock is going away and we're not building new affordable housing. So these are all issues that the next mayor needs to work on. And I think a lot of people running in this race understand that. I think I'm the person who has the experience and the track record of actually getting votes and actually getting these types of things done, and that's the key. It's the leadership. So what I would say is the issues are critical. Understanding the issues are critical. Prioritizing the issues, critical. But we have to ask ourselves, who do we actually believe of the people who are running for mayor could get them done? Who can get the 8 votes that they need around the horseshoe to get any of these great ideas that many people are throwing out there into law, to get them actually done? And I think that I'm the clear standout in that regard because of my track record in Austin, where I've never been in the majority. I've never had seniority going for me, but I've been very effective because I do understand how to get people to work together who come from different perspectives, and that's something that I'd bring to the council. And I'd want to make sure that we moved from all these 8-7 very divided votes to more 15-0 votes by building consensus around the horseshoe. So the primary thing I contribute to this discussion is the leadership. The leadership to get more unanimity and more agreement around the horseshoe, change the tone, change the culture at City Hall, and get us working together again to do really great things.
You mentioned a lot of what I think are your priorities under an administration that you would head up. But I'm wondering, if you are elected, what is the first thing that you would like to accomplish?
I think the people of Dallas really do want to see something happen with our city code of ethics. I think they want to know that their city's not dirty, that the city's not corrupt, that our leaders are actually working on their behalf and not to enrich themselves. So I think very quickly we would need to get through an ethics reform package. We would need to actually clean up our campaign finance rules where there's actually a consequence to breaking the rules. I mean, there's just no way around this topic. We've got to just be honest about it. In this very race where I'm in, there have been situations where people have violated the city code of ethics, and let's be frank, nothing's going to happen to them. There will be no consequence for it. There won't be any fines levied. There won't be any misdemeanors or charges brought against anybody. Nothing's going to happen. And that's kind of the way this code has operated for a long time. It relies very, very heavily, way too heavily, on the public and people like you and the media to find the violations, and then you have to basically either be a lawyer or be willing to retain one to keep pushing that process through City Hall, through the ethics process till something actually happens, which in most cases nothing ever does. That's got to change. No one has any confidence in this system at this point. And then we also need to just flat out root out the actual corruption that goes on at City Hall with respect to individual council members being enticed by developers in most cases and particularly in this affordable housing space, to do things they otherwise wouldn't do.
How do you do that as mayor? I mean, we have the FBI and other state agencies who are responsible for that, but as a mayor, how do you go about trying to change that?
It's the tone. It's the culture. You set the tone. You determine the culture in that building. If you set the tone early on that we are not going to give quarter to people who are engaged in this kind of behavior, we're going to be open to law enforcement. If I'm the mayor of Dallas, I want everyone to understand this very clearly. I support law enforcement. I support following the law. I have a record that I'm willing to open up to anyone of how I've served. I've never been so much as accused, let alone found guilty, of any type of ethical shortcomings or violations. I believe very strongly in protecting the public trust and taking these public positions seriously. And I've been fighting for ethics reform in Austin since I got there. I got elected on the heels of a city hall bribery scandal and went into office and immediately filed ethics legislation to take pensions away from legislators who were found guilty of corruption or bribery or other official misconduct. I take this so seriously because I know the public cannot stand when they see somebody that they voted for and put into office hauled out of City Hall in handcuffs. It's not good for the city's image, and it's not good for how we feel about our own government. So if the mayor is talking like that and setting the tone around City Hall and saying, guys, we're not going to tolerate this. If there's issues with misconduct, we're going to cooperate with the FBI. We're going to cooperate with the district attorney's office. We're turning information over that's within our possession, and we are going to have a clean council. And we're going to support candidates who run on that type of platform. We want candidates running for office who are willing to say at the point of being a candidate that I'm going to be clean. I'm going to follow the rules, starting with my campaign. That's the thing. If you're already breaking the law as a candidate, if you can't follow the campaign finance rules as a candidate and accept contributions below the limit and not accept contributions from minor children or not accept contributions that are being given in a different person's name than the person who's actually providing the funds, which is a violation of state law, how are we surprised when you're not following the law as an elected official? You didn't even do it as a candidate. We've got to stop that. And if the mayor sets that tone, we'll have different people running for office, we'll have different people winning office, and slowly but surely the culture will change. I guarantee it.
You talked a lot about public safety,
yes.
And the city spends most of its money on police and fire. And there's a lot of discussion right now that the city needs to increase salaries for police officers, even though they just did. They need to do more and hire more officers. I'm wondering, where are you on that? And does the city have enough money to do that without having property taxes go sky high?
Man, there's a lot here that I need to address. So first and foremost, what you need to know about me is that I'm the son of a former police officer, a former Dallas police officer. So the law enforcement issue is near and dear to me. I understand full well what the people who sign up for that job do for our city and how much we need to show not only our appreciation for them and help boost the morale of the police department by just being supportive, but how we have to put money behind that. They need to be compensated fairly. They need to be compensated well. They need to be compensated competitively. Competitively. Let me tell you why I use that word. Because that means when we start thinking about the departments that compete with our department for officers, the North Texas surrounding areas, our salary needs to always be competitive. Does it have to always be number one, the highest paid department? Not necessarily. If the morale is high in the department because we're treating our officers right and we're showing them respect, and our pension is secure, which I would make sure it is. I would make sure that when we go back down to Austin in 5 years to actually fix this pension once and for all, hopefully, that we actually will make this pension something that is a selling point for our department as opposed to something that people are concerned about the stability of. But if you have a secure pension, high morale, the cash compensation, the salary just needs to be competitive with the competitive cities around us. And I'll tell you why I say that. You're a journalist, and we all know that not every news outlet, not every newspaper is created equal. There's a competition there amongst people who provide news services. there are jobs in journalism that you'd be willing to take for slightly less money than another job because of the prestige or the challenge of the job. Law enforcement's the same way. People who go into this job are not doing it for the money, but they should be compensated fairly. Dallas is the premier law enforcement job in North Texas. This is the most complicated police work you can find, and people who actually want to fight crimes, like my dad used to do as a police officer, want to be in this department. But they don't want to be in this department for $20,000 less than what someone doing the exact same job is doing. But if the salary's in the range, then it's okay. So we need to make sure that we never, ever get to the kind of gaps that we got to up until last year when we increased the salary. And I'd be committed as mayor to making sure our department is always in line with our surrounding cities. That's first and foremost. And I think it's absolutely critical that we do that because, again, keeping your citizens safe has got to be the first priority of any mayor.
Wanted to ask you a little bit about the campaign. You've raised a lot of money. What does your campaign, the fact that you have raised a lot of money, and the people who've endorsed you say about your viability as a candidate for mayor?
I think it says I'm the person for the job. I think anyone who is already at the stage of a candidate showing a lack of breadth in their support across the city's geography, across the city's income levels, across the city's racial divides, every type of divide you can think of, that's a sign. I'm proud of the breadth of my support. I am proud of the diversity of not just my financial support, but my endorsements, because I have worked very hard my entire life, going back to high school, to actually bridge these divides. I'm a son of Southern Dallas. I grew up in West Dallas and Oak Cliff, but I attended school my entire childhood after the second grade in North Dallas. I've got great relationships and great friendships that span that geographic divide. But I also have friendships that span the racial divide. I've got friends of every race you can imagine. I've got friends of every religion that you can imagine. And that's an important characteristic to have in your mayor. You want someone who views our city's diversity as a strength and appeals to a broad range of people. I am not running to be the black mayor of Dallas, or the Southern Dallas mayor of Dallas, or the East Dallas mayor of Dallas. I'm running to be the mayor of Dallas, a unified Dallas, a Dallas that actually works together to get things done. I want to be everybody's mayor. I want to be North Dallas's mayor and Southern Dallas's mayor and East and West Dallas. I want to be black, white, and every other color under the sun's mayor from a racial standpoint. I don't want to be I'm not the Citizens Council's mayor. I'm not anybody else's mayor of any subgroup you can think of. I want to be everyone's mayor. And my life has been sort of the proof that I don't hold myself off and wall myself off from other people. I actually strive and seek out diversity in my friends and in my life because I actually think it's good, and I enjoy it. So as mayor, I think what my support financially and what my support in terms of my endorsement shows right now as a candidate, it shows what kind of mayor I'll be. I'll be a mayor who's able to bring people together. And I think the fact that I was able to raise a significant amount of money, which I was, shows that I'm viable. It shows that people actually believe in me. And it shows that people are actually willing to invest and sort of put their marker down and say, I think this guy in a very crowded field that I got into last. I mean, people need to remember that. I've been campaigning the least amount of time of anyone in this race. I was the last of the 9 candidates to file. And in that amount of time, I've managed to generate more endorsements from a broader array of people and raise more money than anyone in the period of time that we're talking about. All while I've been in Austin voting on important issues to Dallas, spending at least half my time on the House floor making sure Dallas is represented. So think about that. I've been able to be that competitive in this race while I'm also in Austin serving. To me, that says volumes about where Dallas is on this race. I think Dallas is saying, this is our guy.
Eric Johnson, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Appreciate the time, Jack.
Appreciate your time.